So you're thinking about buying a home, and that new construction home is looking kind of sweet, and you're wondering if you should spring for it. How does buying a brand new home compare to buying a resale home? We're going to talk about the pros and cons of each today.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. I'm John.
I'm Alyse.
And we are with the Heart of Austin Homes team. We make videos every week about real estate here in Austin.
Hey.
Thank you so much. And please hit that little bell and the subscribe button if you want to get new videos from us every week.
And the like.
Thank you.
So at this point, we've helped hundreds of people through the process of buying both resale of older homes as well as brand spanking new homes. Heck, John has even helped quite a number of people through the process of building a brand new home.
Yep, from start to finish, from dirt to completed home.
Let's start with new builds. Number one, new builds are shiny and pretty. A lot of times they have the newest trends and the coolest stuff in them. Theoretically, it's all new materials, and so you're excited that the materials should theoretically be in good shape.
Then you get to peel the plastic off of everything.
I know, exactly. It's so official. And on the flip side of that, it's going to be frequently in a very manufactured environment. It can make you feel like the homes are a little bit too prefab and soulless and samey.
Yeah, it's the problem with processes. You do them over and over again, so everything looks just a little too perfect.
Yeah.
It's like you're waiting, it's like for the zombie movie, right? Where everything is just too perfect, and then it's just like you're waiting for the zombies to come out.
Totally fully plan on directing and filming a zombie movie in a super prefab neighborhood where the perfect housewife walks out with like zombie blood. I think that's already been done,
actually. Which is why it makes us think of it.
Little zombie children under her skirts.
Oh, that's so sad. Anyway, so if you don't want to, participate in the zombie apocalypse in a brand new house, something to consider.
Where do you want to quarantine?
All right. Number two, with a new build, it also takes time to build them from beginning to end. Now, if you've got like a really fast builder who's just on top of their game, they've got like a super smooth process, I've seen it get done in as little as 4 months. That's my personal record that I've seen. But 6 months is kind of par, but I've also seen projects take as long as 12 months. So the builder might tell you, hey, it's gonna be done in 6 to 8 months. Be prepared for maybe 12. And a lot of times it's not necessarily their fault, but sometimes, supply chains get messed up or surprises happen and things just take longer than they originally were planned.
Heck, I've seen some custom builds go over 2 years.
Well, that's a custom build. That's versus like a subdivision where like they're building one of 4 plans, 6 months.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like, hey, I get to pick out every little doorknob, then sky's the limit.
Yeah, you could take 2 centuries. Mm-hmm. Number 3. Everything will be brand new. So, all of your mechanicals, stuff like your HVAC and your structure, etc., they're all going to be brand new. So theoretically, you shouldn't be having to deal with any major problems for a little while there at the beginning.
However, you can deal with punch items for as much as a year after purchase. That's like just little knick-knacky things like drawers not sliding in perfect, or something doesn't fit, or something comes off the wrong way. There's a lot to put together in a house, so having those little small punch items is not unusual. Now, a builder will give you a 1-year warranty, so everything is covered. So at month 11 after you've purchased, call that builder up and be like, here's my list of stuff to come fix, and they should do it.
Really good idea to get an inspection at month 11.
Now, also something to consider is that new homes today are made to be cost efficient, and they're made with engineered materials. Now, often those engineered materials are actually more eco-friendly. They take less to build, but they're also designed with a time frame in mind, and that's usually 30 years. So some of the stuff doesn't last as long, and you may be replacing it sooner than you would in some older homes that are made out of, stone and oak, although no one really makes homes out of solid stone and oak timbers anymore.
I mean, it sounds nice.
It does, but it's primo expensive.
Oh, so expensive.
So, most homes are made to be upgraded over time, especially new ones.
Number 4, builders usually use their own contract, and their own contract tends to be all about them and protecting their butts.
Yep.
So the Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC, they have a 1-to-4 standard contract that we use for all resales, and this is fairly balanced, if not slightly skewed towards the buyer to protect the buyer from buying a lemon house. And so that's just something to be a little bit, buyer be wary about using the builder's contract.
Yeah, so when you're buying a new build, you're not going to be able to change or negotiate their contract at all. It's really about here, you're going to take it, but just be aware of what you're signing up for so that when those things show up, you can understand hey, these are all of the options you don't have. Okay, number 5 is beware the model home.
Gosh.
Right? I mean, they're beautiful, right? They dress them up to the nines. but they put every single upgrade in that home that they can possibly pack in there. Now, which is cool because they often sell them at the very end. It's like the last house to sell, and they give it a little bit of a discount. But it's also kind of giving you this impression of like, oh, this is what comes with everything. And actually, no, you might buy that house at $350,
amazing.
But after you put all the model home upgrades in it, it's like $425.
They'll even put things in there that are not offered as an upgrade. Like really neat colored shiplap. I remember the other day came up, and they did not even offer that as an upgrade. Lights, canned lights. Those will be all over in the home to make it bright and lovely and warm. Frequently don't come with it. Ceiling fans. I mean, just all the things you think are just such a fundamental part of the home. And then when you walk into yours and it's over, you're like, this looks drastically different. So just be very aware of that, and that those little upgrades of just adding things like fans and canned lights in rooms with almost no light.
And different surfaces.
They add, yeah, exactly. Flooring, etc. They add up fast. So be wary of that, and make sure you leave lots of fudge room between the base price and what you actually are capped out at price-wise.
Because I want those cool heated leather seats. Yeah. Number 6 is that new homes, especially when you buy them before they're built, have fixed pricing. Generally speaking, they're not going to be very flexible on the numbers because they're getting to build from ground up for you, and they're going to make it specific to you. The pricing is going to be very inflexible. So you don't have a lot of bargaining power when you come in to build a custom home to get you from, nothing on the ground to it's dialed in just for you. And the reason for this is that once you build it out to your specifications, let's say you decide to bail on that contract, well, now they've got to sell your tastes to someone else.
Definitely. And on that note, the one place that we find the most flexibility on buying new homes is homes that are either on the verge of being done or that are already done, either because somebody was planning on buying them and the contract fell out, or because they had extra time for their subcontractors and wanted to keep them working in the slower season. So those ones, sometimes we can actually get a decent deal on those. But you will be either taking somebody else's taste or just something they threw together as a spec version that they had on the market. Number 7, builders make most of their margin on the upgrades. Yep. So while it is more expensive to get the hardwood floors put in while you're going through the build, remember this. If they don't put it in for you when they're building it the first time, they're going to put in something else. You're going to pay for that. Then you're going to have to pay to have that pulled out, and then the hardwood floors or whatever it is put in. So they are counting on that in their pricing, that you do that mental math and realize it's going to cost just as much. So you might as well just go ahead and pay a little bit too much for it now to put it in. That's not even to mention the fact that it's going to be a big old headache to hire another contractor to come in and pull that out and put the other in, and you're going to have to wait to move in, or you're going to have to move your stuff back out. It's a big old headache. And another thing to keep in mind is that most builders, they're not going to do customization that isn't within their standard set of customizations. But if you're doing a fully customized home, on the other hand, prepare to pay a pretty penny for the bespoke design there. But you can make something beautiful that's definitely much more original.
Okay, number 8 is to watch out for municipal utility districts in new
any
developments.
Any of these utility districts that
they're called MUDs, MUD, not multi-user dungeons. And what they are is oftentimes when you have a new housing development, you have to put in all the water and sewer and street and electrical and all that good stuff for the infrastructure for that development. But because it's brand new, it costs a lot more because it hasn't been there for a while and getting revenue from all those other houses that are paying on the utilities. So you have some increased costs for a new development because you're having to pay or amortize the costs of all that infrastructure over the first 5 or even 10 years of the subdivision's lifetime.
And the builder's saying to himself, like, do I really want to spread this out and make my houses look more expensive, and that will deter people from buying them, or I'll make less profit? He says, I got it. Let me take out basically a bunch of bonds on this and make all of the people who live here pay a tiny tax over time to pay this off. To pay off that initial development of the utilities. So it's kind of like passing it along to future generations there.
Kind of, but you're really utilizing it over those 10 years.
You totally are.
Spreading that cost out, like, it's better than having to pay it up front.
But what would have deterred you if they'd put it into price,
of course,
should also be calculated in when you're thinking about your tax rate.
It absolutely should.
Because it will increase your taxes a little bit.
But you figure that utility infrastructure is going to be there for 30 years, so just try not to pay for it all up front.
Yeah. Number 9, new builds have to adhere to engineering standards on their foundations. So whereas an older home may have had some settling, but if it stayed at the same level for that long, it's likely to stay at that same level.
Yeah.
However, a brand new home, you don't know if it's going to have some initial settling. A lot of homes, a large portion of homes in Austin, particularly east, but honestly all over Austin, depending on the soil, end up having to have a little bit of foundation tweaking or having, a little bit to a lot of settling. So it's something that, having an older home with a foundation that has stayed level or that has been adjusted and then stayed level is potentially a better bet on the foundation side than brand new one that you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, the east side tends to have more clay and loamy soils, so you get a little bit more problems over there, whereas the west side is all limestone, so anything you build on top of that, not going anywhere.
And obviously there's variation on either side for sure, but as a generalization.
Okay, number 10 is that appreciation can often be flat with new construction. Now that's assuming that it's a new construction in a big development, because most big developers are going to be building subdivisions on the edge of town where you're looking at your house and you're looking away and you see all this big green space for more houses to be built. Well, that means you're going to be competing with new construction on the resale for as long as it takes for them to finish building houses around you.
And even the next development and the next development over. So you end up, being a resale next to brand new builds that then have a 1-year warranty on everything. And people are going, why would I buy yours when I could buy this one for the same price or less?
And so that holds up as long as it takes until you become kind of infill. Whereas if you are buying a home that is a resale, it's closer to town, and so therefore it's already surrounded by houses, and so the appreciation can often be a little bit better on houses that are already surrounded versus new construction on the edge of town. And so the edge of town part is important because if you're competing with new construction, that's where your appreciation can sometimes be flatter.
Now we're going to talk about resale. Number 1, resale homes prices tend to be more negotiable because they're not a business. They know that they're competing against other people nearby that are selling, and they're not going to solidly keep their prices up so that no one can purchase underneath that price.
And now that depends on your market, of course, but there is some flexibility with resale. Okay, number 2 about resales is that you can just buy them and close them within 30 days, assuming you're using financing, even faster for cash, so you can kind of have it now. Whereas if you're doing new construction, well, you just kind of have to wait for that to be done. So there is some advantage into being able to buy it and move in right away.
Number 3. So some resale homes can look as good or better than brand new builds. And furthermore, they're much more likely to come with unique bits that were completely redone by previous owners. They're more likely to come with solid, great materials like real wood floors. Or they may have stone and things that are really going to hold the test of time. And so you can get something that has a little bit more soul to it and doesn't look like it just came out of the Home Depot box.
Okay, number 4, when buying a resale, the mechanicals can sometimes be older. They're going to be usually replaced over the lifetime of the house, 1 or 2 or 3 times, depending on how it is.
What's a mechanical, John?
Oh my goodness. A mechanical is somebody with a wrench. No, it's anything like the HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, plumbing, so anything that involves water, sewer, or electrical. So those are the big expense centers for a house. And so when you buy a house, you want to put a timeline on the cost for replacing those so that you think like, wow, I'm getting this house for a good deal. It was say $325, but hey, the HVAC is maybe 20 years old. It might last another year. It might last another 5 years. Yeah. But when it goes, it might be several $1,000s. So you just want to make sure you budget that in when you make the purchase. And so make that calculation for all your plumbing, all your HVAC, and all your electrical so that it doesn't surprise you when those replacement costs do come up.
Number 5. So if you want a cool home that's close to town, you're largely not going to be able to do a new build. Yeah. Most of the homes that are going to be close in are going to already be built. You're going to need to buy a resale. I mean, obviously, they might throw up a condo billing if you're open to condos. There might occasionally be an infill house or two. Infill is when there's just one spot available and you build one house, maybe 2 houses, instead of building a whole division. Yeah. But a lot of the subdivisions happen on the outskirts. If you want to be in the cool parts of town, you probably need to buy a resale.
Yep. Okay, and that leads to number 6, which is appreciation in the city tends to be a little bit better than appreciation on the outskirts. And like for what we've talked about before, it's mainly because you're inside where people already are, you're surrounded by stuff, and so that becomes more desirable over time. There's less competition with new construction, so your appreciation is typically going to be better with most resales compared to new construction.
So which would you prefer, a brand new build or a resale home? Let us know in the comments below and let us know why. Thank you guys so much for watching. We would absolutely love it if you gave us a little thumbs up on the video. We would also love it if you were up for subscribing and hit the little bell so you can hear about our next video every week.
Speaking of which, there might be some other videos that you would like. We've got one on the process of buying, right? And the steps it takes to buy a home.
Definitely.
And
our last video was...
yeah, renting versus buying, like what makes sense for you. So check those out if you're interested.
Thanks, guys.